Hello everybody. By the end of this video, this car will be running. It'll be sitting here and just purring. It's a 3-cylinder, so it might be shaking everything, but it'll be running. And that's the important part. Car hasn't ran since 2015. Would be running right now. Except it doesn't have a fuel tank and a fuel pump and lines and the filter. Frog wouldn't bump its ass if it had wings situation here. So if it had that stuff, it would run. But since it don't, it don't. I can just kind of show you this and you can just guess at the reason that it doesn't run. That's a fuel pump strainer. And I don't think they're supposed to do that. Just turn in the, dust like that. Ethanol. Now, here's where we get different. If you've been around my channel for very long at all, you know that I don't spend money. Everybody else would buy a new fuel tank, new fuel pump, new filters, new lines. They would replace everything because apparently if you replace everything, you don't have to take it back apart again. Ever. It'll run forever, apparently. But since we're not going to do that, I'm going to clean the gas tank the best that I can. I want to find a fuel pump and something else out here that just happens to be close to it in pressure and gallons. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Once I do something, I'll show you more. So I've got something to show you. This is the sending unit out of the car. You can see it's still got some rust on it and stuff, but I cleaned it up the best I could. That is a 350 Chevrolet TBI fuel pump. I adapted it, it's special. I tried going online. I tried figuring out what stuff was supposed to be and what pressures were supposed to be and what flow was supposed to be and everything, and kind of just decided that we're just going to try this, and if it works, yay. Probably dangerous. Don't do this at home. I pressure washed it out though, so I mean it shouldn't have any gas in it, but it's smelling an awful lot like dead gas. And it was previously steaming pretty good over here. Pretty hot too. That should get all the water out of it. Well, that and these rags. It should be okay. I'm going to put that back in that, and I'll show you some more.
You want to snack that carburetor with something? Valve ain't working and it's stuck open some, but it is running decent. It's charging, the temperature gauge is working, the oil light went out, the gas gauge is still working because it came up. Tacks kind of working, and the headlights work on high beam. Fan's running. I consider that a win. Car runs terrible if you ain't got any water in it. We tried cranking it before now and it was flooding to death.
And I put a heater hose on it to bypass the heater core and fill it up with water. And it started running better. It still acts like there's a slight something wrong with the throttle position sensor, but that would kind of be expected for, you know, considering that it's set forever and that throttle body was underwater at one time. I did have to change the injector. The injector that was in it was stuck shut. I put one in it out of a 97, I think. So the intake and throttle body is 89, the car is a 91, and the fuel injector is a 97. That just kind of shows you what all they didn't change in these cars. So, I don't know if I want to show you anything else in this video or just kind of let it end on a win. But for now, the car seems to be running good enough that it could be driven like this.
I decided to show just a little bit more in this video, and maybe, just maybe, give a little bit of information out that might help somebody one of these days. However unlikely that is. But these cars from the factory did not use an oil pan gasket. They used a silicone. If it was a Honda, you'd call it Honda Bond. If it was Mitsubishi, you'd call it Mitsu Bond. So I guess since this is a Suzuki engine, you would call it Zuki Bond. I don't know. But it's a gray RTV like Permatex Ultra Gray. Now, a lot of people in gasket sets and stuff, a lot of gasket sets come with a oil pan gasket. But if you use those quart gaskets, you will have an oil leak. They're not supposed to have an oil pan gasket. It's just supposed to be a 1/4 of an inch or so bead of silicone. Even that, however, wouldn't have kept this from leaking. This one was leaking because back here, kind of in line with this corner, the axle hit the oil pan. And when it done that, it drawed the oil pan down from the block. So it would have probably leaked either way, but it was already leaking before that because the gasket was split at every one of the bolts. Anyway, the reason I'm showing you this is because this engine was rebuilt before the wreck. And supposedly, okay, so the rod bolts have been turned. The rod nuts have been turned. So it has been apart. It might have been rebuilt. It wasn't knocking, smoking, or rattling, so it seems to be okay. But I had to take the oil pan off to fix that. And in the next video, I'll show you the oil pan, and I'll show you fixing that, and I'll show you putting the exhaust on, and we'll button the car up to the point to where it can be driven in the next video. So, that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you again next time. I wasn't able to show as much on this as I did the first 2 or 3 pieces of this. Stuff ends up happening, and you end up not being able to make a video, especially in my situation doing this by myself up here. It's just too hard to make a video showing everything. You've seen everything over here and it's the same over there. The only thing I didn't really show that I would have liked to have showed on this was spraying the blue. It matches the car because the car is also not perfect. The car was rushed, and so's the hood, so it matches. And hopefully the metallic kind of does